Good afternoon, I'm Sean Yao and this is One News Now. Around 500,000 households in Metro Manila could experience water service interruptions in the coming weeks. The Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System, or MWSS, explained that this is because of the lower allocation from the Angat Dam. In July, Angat reserves shared to water concessionaires could be slashed to only 50 cubic meters per second from the current 52 cubic meters per second. Recall that the water levels in Angat Dam remain low despite rains the past few weeks. With this, Maynilad and Manila Water are now working to provide alternative sources of water for the National Capital Region.
Pinaghahandaan po natin na kahit mabawasan po yung alokasyon ng MWSS sa Angat Dam ay magamit na din po natin. Ang timetable po natin sa mga konsesyonaryo ay December 2023. Pero may mga in-implement na po kami ng mga phase 1 nitong mga proyekto na to na naka-ready naman na po na pwede na po i-operate.
Meantime, the State Weather Bureau sees the onset of El Nino happening by the last week of June or the first week of July. In an interview with Radio 5, Pag-asa Officer in Charge Dr. Esperanza Cayanan said the declaration of the weather phenomenon follows certain parameters. These include the average temperature of the central equatorial Pacific in the last 3 months.
Yun nga pong buwan ng Mayo ay 0.5 yung kanyang surface temperature anomaly, pero ngayong June, tumataas siya, tumataas ng 0.7, patuloy na tumataas. Pero it should be average for the past 3 months po, bago po tayo magdeklara.
Cayanan also said that while the Philippines will experience fewer typhoons during the El Nino, extreme weather disturbances can still hit the country, particularly in the months of October and November.
Posible pa rin po tayo na magkaroon ng bagyo na malakas at pwedeng tumawid or tumama sa kalupaan. Lalo na po yung buwan ng last quarter, mas na-enhance po yung ulan tuwing habagat season. Kaya nga po sinasabi natin na ngayong tag-ulan, pwede tayong mag-expect na mas maraming ulan, lalo na dito sa western sections ng ating bansa, bago natin maramdaman yung epekto ng El Nino.
Still on the weather, as in the past few days, some parts of the country could experience heavy rainfall today. This is still because of the Intertropical Convergence Zone, or ITCZ. The weather system can bring light to moderate to at times heavy rains over Palawan, Visayas, the Zamboanga Peninsula, northern Mindanao, and Caraga. Meanwhile, isolated rain showers may be experienced in Metro Manila and the rest of the country due to localized thunderstorms. In other news, some economists see the poor and the middle class as bearing the brunt of the proposed additional taxes on food. The higher levy covers junk food and other salty treats, as well as sweetened beverages. In a report from the Philippine Star, Ateneo de Manila professor and economist Leonardo Lanzona said these food products have very high price elasticity. What this means is that demand could likely fall, and in turn, result in lower collection of tax revenues needed for the government's target programs. For its part, the research and advocacy group Ibon Foundation said that the other objective of the proposal, which is to discourage Filipinos from eating too much junk food, may not be achieved. Ibon Foundation explains that there is not enough affordable food alternatives available to Filipinos given their low purchasing power. Recall that the Finance Department wants to impose higher taxes on junk food for an additional 76 billion pesos for the national coffers. Time to take a quick break. One News Now will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The catastrophic implosion of the Titan submersible that killed 5 people is sparking debate about expeditions to the Titanic. For scientist and journalist Michael Gillen, all trips to the site should be stopped until the cause of the sub's failure is determined. Gillen himself is a Titanic expedition survivor from the year 2000 after his submersible was trapped in one of the sunken ship's propellers. Nevertheless, the scientist is not keen on a permanent ban on trips to see the Titanic, which sank off of the North Atlantic Ocean back in 1912.
We need to put a stop to all trips to the Titanic. We need to stop, pause, take a deep breath, and ask people this question. Why do you want to go to the Titanic, and how do you get there safely? I'm not so sure as a scientist that I'm willing to go so far as to say there should be an outright permanent ban, because there is science to be learned down there.
And whether it's billionaires under the sea or migrants in a shipwreck, the United Nations says that all lives are precious. Aside from the Titan submersible, world attention is also on the ship carrying hundreds of migrants that capsized off Greece. The official death toll from that accident in Europe last week stands at 82, with the number of survivors at 104. The United Nations emphasized the humanist view when asked about the disparity between the two tragedies.
I think all efforts must be made to save the lives of the people on this submersible. But by the same token, and I did say something similar on this yesterday, all of those who are risking their lives at sea must be protected. Any measures to protect people's lives, whether they're on a ship being piloted by human smugglers, or whether they're on a submersible device such as this one, all of them must be cared for.
Back here at home, here's a quick look at today's other top stories. Hungary is looking to hire around 3,000 Filipino factory workers with a starting salary of at least 50,000 pesos. According to the Department of Migrant Workers, the country is also looking for other skilled workers. The DMW is reminding applicants to go to the agency's website for details and to avoid illegal recruitment. The Bangko Sentral kept benchmark interest rates unchanged for a second straight meeting on Thursday. The Monetary Board maintained its overnight reverse repurchase rate, or RRR, at 6.25%. Interest rates on the overnight deposit and lending facilities were also kept at 5.75% and 6.75%. BSP Governor Felipe Medalla said the pause will allow the central bank to further assess how inflation and domestic demand responded to their tightening. President Bongbong Marcos has given the green light on the proposed 2024 national budget. This was confirmed by Finance Chief Benjamin Diokno and NEDA Chief Arsenio Balisacan to the Philippine Star. Next year's budget is at 5.768 trillion pesos, up by 9% from the previous year. One News Now will be back at 3 p.m. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.